me begin. About Iran.
Ich erkenne im Augenblick nicht, welche.
The Iran war is no longer distant. It is shaking the transatlantic alliance itself. Keir Starmer and Friedrich Merz are openly signaling a break from Washington. What was once unity is now visible strain inside NATO. In Britain, Keir Starmer is drawing a hard line, refusing to be dragged into another war like Iraq War. As fuel prices rise and pressure builds, he warns the Iran conflict is already hitting households and could damage the economy for months.
I will never let this country be dragged into a war that is not in our interests. Never. Thank you, Chancellor. That is a lesson British politics should have learnt a long time ago with Iraq. And yet, when the rush to war began on Iran, I was heavily criticised by others who had no thought for the consequences, for our country, for your family. But that is not how I operate, because I have working people in my mind's eye for every decision. And yet, delegates, I have to level with you about Iran, because the truth is the economic consequences could still be with us for some time.
In Germany, Friedrich Merz is going further, openly questioning US leadership. He warns Washington has entered another conflict without a clear exit, echoing failures in Iraq and Afghanistan, and raising fears of a prolonged and directionless war.
The Americans clearly have no strategy. And the problem with conflicts like this is always that it's not enough just to get in. You also have to get out. We saw that all too painfully in Afghanistan for 20 years. We saw it in Iraq.
Merz delivers a stunning charge, saying Iran is outmaneuvering the United States diplomatically. Failed talks and stalled efforts, he says, are allowing Tehran to turn the tables, exposing what he calls a humiliating moment for a global superpower.
At the moment, I can't tell what strategic exit the Americans are pursuing, especially since the Iranians are obviously negotiating very skillfully, or perhaps very skillfully refusing to negotiate, and then letting the Americans travel to Islamabad, only to send them back without any results. An entire nation is being humiliated by the Iranian leadership, especially by these so-called revolutionary guards.
For Europe, this war is now about survival at home. Starmer warns the world is more volatile than ever, with distant conflicts hitting domestic stability. As allies question strategy, the real test begins. Can the West stay united, or is this where it starts to fracture?
That is the mistake that was made after the 2008 financial crash with austerity. It was made in Brexit, COVID, and the Ukraine war. And we cannot add Iran to that list because the status quo manifestly failed working people. It kept your wages low, the economy stagnant, and your public services decimated. In other words, the status quo made working people like you pay the price. I would not go back to that, even if I could. And delegates, we can't. Because the world has changed. It is more volatile and dangerous now than at any point in my lifetime, and I'm sure in yours. It will test and test again every element of our security, our economic security, our energy security, our defence security. That's why we've had to confront such difficult decisions. We're working at pace to give Britain a stronger foundation, trying to make us a more resilient country, so we can weather not just this storm, but all the storms that are going to be much more frequent in this dangerous world.